Let's start by breaking down the commandlet help topics. There is a category of name. This is just going to be the name of your help topic. There's also a synopsis, which is a brief statement about the help document. The syntax, which is going to show the different parameter sets and parameters that are available for that commandlet. We'll explore those more later on. The description, which is going to be a detailed description about that help topic itself. Parameters, which is going to be in-depth details on the different parameters for that command. Inputs, which is going to be the type of value that you can pass into the command. Outputs, which is the type of value that the command will return once it is done executing. And finally, the notes section, which is going to be additional notes, including examples on how to utilize the command itself. So let's talk about parameter sets. Commandlets can have multiple sets of parameters. Each set is going to have similar but discrete parameter functionality. And each set can share parameters. So let's take a look at this example. The commandlet get-random has very different functionality between the two parameter sets. You'll notice in the top one, there are parameters for maximum and minimum. For the second one, it's only going to take an object that you pass to it. However, it has parameters for count. Between those two parameter sets, they actually share a similar parameter of setSeed. You don't need to know what any of those do currently. However, you will notice that there is a little bit of overlapping functionality, but for the most part, they are discrete. Let's talk a little bit about positional parameters. You are able to execute a command without specifying the parameter name. We've already used positional parameters when we were working with get-help. The key on this one is the values must be in the correct order. So let's take a look at an example. In this example, you can type get-command, and you'll see that we're using a wildcard search and typing VM, and then we're putting a space and typing computer name. What we are doing in this one is using two separate parameters to search for information using get-command. The opposite of a positional parameter is a named parameter. Named parameters require the parameter name be specified prior to the value. It does not have to be in any specific order. So in this example, we are actually taking a look at the same command that we ran using positional parameters. However, on this one, we are actually naming those parameters and placing them in a different order. So with this one, we have to actually specify argument list for the computer name value. And we have to specify name for the name of the command value that we are searching. Now let's take a look at mandatory and optional parameters. Mandatory parameters, most commandlet sets require at least one parameter. The exception being things such as get-help and get-command that return a default set of information. Optional parameters, a parameter set normally includes a few optional parameters. You can identify an optional parameter set by looking at the square brackets. If you look at the PowerShell help documentation on parameters, you will see the section that I have included below, where it actually shows how you can identify what is required and what is optional by showing you the text within the square brackets and text that is not in square brackets. Let's jump into a demonstration on understanding the help documentation. With Windows PowerShell open, you can type something like get-help and get-command. We did this before in the other demonstration, but we didn't really explore all the information that was available when it was returned. So let's take a look. By default, it provided the name, the synopsis, the syntax, the description, and related links along with some additional remarks about this command. If you take a look at the syntax, you're going to see there are two parameter sets for this command. The next thing we want to do is type get-help and get-command again, but this time we want to see examples on how to use this commandlet. This is normally one of the first things I do when I'm exploring a new commandlet. What this is going to do is return sometimes a little bit of information, sometimes a lot of information. On this specific command, there's quite a few examples. And what it will do is show you what command to type and what it will return. Let's try using get-help to find even more information about command. So we are going to type get-help again, and we're going to perform a wildcard search for any help topic that in the name has command in it. And you're going to see it returned a couple of commandlets and a couple of help files. Let's take a look at just the help files. So let's type get-help and take a look at the about command syntax. Now you'll see the screen roll by really fast, so you can simply scroll up through it. And when you're looking at this, you want to take a look at what is mandatory and what is optional. So like you saw on the PowerPoint slide, here is the section that describes required parameters are going to have carets around them, not square brackets. Optional parameters with optional values will have square brackets around the entire thing. If it is an optional parameter that's just a switch, it will also have square brackets. But notice an optional parameter name that has a required parameter value. This is going to mean that you can use a positional parameter, but you have to specify the value.